Hey everyone! History of the United States 1. It's a popular CLEP because so many schools accept this either as a replacement for their own history requirement or as an elective. And if you've attended high school in the US, you probably already know a great deal of the material. If we haven't met yet, I'm Justin with Free-Clep-Prep, a site that has been helping people pass CLEPs and DSSTs for 17 years and counting. We have free study guides, free flashcards, and free full-length practice tests. I take these tests myself to ensure we're preparing you correctly, and I just got back from taking this one yesterday, so the feedback is still fresh. So let's talk about what you can expect to see. Now, the nice thing about history exams is they really don't change that much. I've taken this particular CLEP 4 times over the last 19 years, and what you need to know is the same now as it was back then. Let's start at the beginning. You'll need to know who the major colonial powers were in the North and Central America. So, spoiler, those were England, France, and Spain, which I'm going to call the big 3. You may see Portugal and the Netherlands pop up, but a brief review of those on the study guide will cover everything you need. The big 3 is where you'll need to go deeper. Know the areas that each concentrated on. Spain was running wild in Central America looking for gold and silver, and conquering the Aztecs in modern-day Mexico with the help of neighboring tribes. The French were all about furs, so they tended to work closely with Native Americans and traded extensively with them. The English were all about putting down roots. The allure of gold drew them initially, but as soon as they figured out how to grow indigo and especially tobacco, it became all about exporting those crops back to jolly old England. Know the big settlements, with Jamestown being the first for the English, but the other successful colonies like Massachusetts, New Amsterdam, Rhode Island, and also the unsuccessful colonies like Roanoke. Know how the indentured servants were used at first and why slave labor became a desired alternative. Now we're moving forward a bit. Colonies are established, wars are being fought over in Europe, and it's spilling over to North America. The French and Indian War is mentioned a bit, so I'd study up on that. And also the fact that the war cost England a lot of money. They wanted to get that money back, and the way they decided to do that was to tighten the screws a bit on the colonies. I'd know what salutary neglect is, and how it ended with the various taxes and trading acts, like the Navigation Act and the Stamp Act, and how the colonists felt it was unjust that they were being asked to pay these things without having any say what was going on back in England. I would know the various rebellions: Indian rebellions, indentured servant rebellions, slave rebellions. In fact, if it has the word rebellion in it and it happened in North or Central America between the years of like 1500 and 1866, I would know that. Then comes the Revolutionary War, which this exam didn't go into too much depth on. Others have in the past, so don't neglect it, but knowing the major players and the battles should be enough. Alright, now we're moving into the US as a country. Know the difference between the Articles of Confederation and the later Constitution, and why we ended up with the latter. Hint, has to do with rebellions. I'd have a good read about the first 8 or 9 presidents and what issues they ran into and how you handled them. If you do that, you'll probably cover a quarter of the exam. I'm not even joking. Andrew Jackson gets a special mention because the question writers love to hate on this man. I'm a magnet for tests with Supreme Court cases, so make sure you know those as well. Cases like Plessy versus Ferguson and Dred Scott are all about slavery, but there are others as well dealing with state nullification and judicial review. I would know those. Slavery is a huge topic as it was a factor in almost everything going on in the growing country. Know all of the compromises: the 3/5 Compromise, the Missouri Compromise, the 1850 Compromise, the Kansas-Nebraska Act, and the list keeps going. Every time a state or territory was added, a huge debate happened about whether it was going to be pro or anti-slavery. Understand these debates because you'll likely get asked about them. Understand the abolitionist movements that were pushing for these debates. Now, things come to a head in the Civil War. I didn't get asked too much about the battles. It was mostly concentrated on the social, economic, and political issues that were happening at the time. I read up on Abraham Lincoln, what brought him to power, what his goals were before, during, and after the Civil War. That takes us to the Reconstruction, which you'll need to know quite a bit on. Political parties on both sides, how goals changed after Lincoln was assassinated, initial promises that were made to the freed slaves, and what ended up actually happening. I would also read up on how the economics worked out after King Cotton was no longer being grown with slave labor. It's a lot of information, but again, this is history. It's all straightforward stuff. I firmly believe we've got everything you need for a pass on our free study guide. If you're in a hurry, we do have a quick prep bundle for this one to get you ready in hours instead of weeks. I took 4 other exams yesterday aside from this one, so be on the lookout for more videos soon. Until then, I hope this helps, and I'll wish you the best on your exams. Go get those credits. We're cheering for you.